Welcome back to another episode of the Supercar Killer M3 presented by Turn 14 Distribution. Today we're going to be working on the cool side of things. If you guys haven't seen the previous episode, go back and watch it, but we completed the hot side of the turbo setup in that episode, except one small thing that we didn't show you, and that was the downpipe and the way the wastegate is being recirculated into that downpipe. Vin's actually just finished welding that right now. And here you can see our wastegate sitting on top of the manifold. It is normally going to be held on with a V-band, but it's just sitting there looking pretty at the moment so that I can pull it off here and hand model it for you. This is our Turbo Smart Hypergate 45 Motorsport. And the way this differs from their regular Hypergate 45, this being the Motorsport version, the main thing is the larger heat sink here. So it's designed to take, it's basically designed for like endurance racing or where you're going to see extended high temperature exposure, particularly if you're not able to water cool it. So this does have ports on it, 1/8 NPT ports on it for water cooling, but if you're using it in an endurance racing environment or in a case where you're not able to water cool it, then this larger heatsink will help it live a much longer, happier life. And this can actually survive EGTs as high as 1250 Celsius, which is pretty stunning. And like all of their wastegates, they have the best flow characteristics through the body. They CFD design these to flow extremely well. And like we showed you on the abandoned STI, this has like a lock collar system on it that's unique to Turbo Smart that allows you to open it up and get to the springs in there. So you're able to change it out and set your base spring pressure. And there we have it, another masterpiece from our main man Vin here, who has done a beautiful job on this. This is constructed of stainless steel, all vibrant tubing.
Yeah, all vibrant stainless steel.
And the bellows too, is that a vibrant part?
That's a vibrant part, and that's a vibrant part, that's a vibrant part, and that's a vibrant part.
As you can see, there's a theme here, everybody. This is all vibrant everything, and man, it is gorgeous. Look at the way he's got the wastegate recirculated into the main downpipe here. And we've got this nice flex joint here, all V-banded and ready to party. So it is gonna go in the hole, I guess, now, and we can bolt up the wastegate and show you how that all looks. And as far as where to connect the dump tube into the downpipe, are there any rules about where to put that in?
I mean, you want it out of the way and flowing back properly. This is kind of why we have it on an angle and kind of an angle here so that we're not just like shoving it straight down or backwards, so it's in line with the flow. Since it's flowing this way, it'll also catch it on the way out.
Okay. And just like that, the wastegate and downpipe and all that good stuff is in there, and it is beautiful. Having just come back from SEMA, I would say it's show quality stuff, but it's actually going to run and drive and function on the street and at the racetrack. So great to have that handled. And before we get to the cold side, we actually do have one more thing, and that is this whole water neck issue. A couple of episodes ago, if you were following along, Pete and I talked about what to do about basically a fill point, a high point on the cooling system where we can add water and bleed the system and all that kind of stuff. And Vin has actually addressed this issue on some of the other 2J swaps you've done here, so you have an idea that you think is going to do the job.
So I already got started on this. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to have it's sort of like a fill neck and also a swirl pot. Basically, from the engine, the coolant comes out of this neck into the rad and then back sort of this way. How we want to do this is we're going to have the coolant spill into here, and then it's going to go from here back to the rad, obviously. But this space here is where you're going to get the separation from the water and the air. Being that this being the highest point of the coolant system, the whole system stays full of water and the engine's happy.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea, and we're using this nice little vibrant filler neck, so we just need to find the right sized rad cap for that. I think
it's an A type for that size, yeah.
A type?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we get out of here and let Vin get to work on the cold side, we have a little talking to do about the intercooler setup. We are using a CoyoRad universal core. As you can see, it doesn't have any end tanks on it, and this uses their tube and fin design, which differs from the more predominant bar and plate style. I think the more common bar and plate, which are much heavier. These are very lightweight, which is quite nice. And apparently they have better flow efficiency. So they are a more efficient core, but they're also more expensive to produce. So I think you pay a bit of a premium for this style of intercooler. But I really do like how compact this one is. I think it'll do a good job fitting into the space that we have to work with, although that's a challenge you're going to be facing in a moment. And for end tanks, we found these ATP cast end tanks online for 60 bucks, which is kind of incredible for a cast end tank that happens to fit this core extremely well. Like you were sort of like fitting it up there and thinking this is going to fit really nicely.
Awesome. The only thing we're going to have to worry about is these little tabs here, but as soon as we just plop these off, they fit almost perfect.
And I guess you'll have to trim a little of the excess off afterward.
Yeah, we'll see what it happens, but most likely, if anything, we could just leave it, and it's a good place to weld onto. But
right. And have you welded onto a tube and fin style before, or bar and plate style before?
Bar and plate, yes. This style I have not. It's very different actually, because you could kind of see here how we have this piece of material here that's away from the fin. A couple things that's going to make it easier is it's going to make it a lot easier to weld since the heat sink isn't right up top of it. So anytime you're welding aluminum, you kind of want to preheat it anywhere from 200 Fahrenheit to get a really good weld going. But with this style, there's going to be less heat sink in this corner compared to a bar and plate where it's right up against it, and then even sometimes you'll get like all the fins melting only because it's right against it. But this is away from it, and it's really nice, so kind of excited to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and we kind of have a lightweight theme going here with the car now with this titanium exhaust system, and it's impressive how light this is compared to your typical bar and plate one. I think there are instances where you could make an argument where bar and plate is a good application, and that is apparently they do have higher burst pressure, so they can take more boost. And if you're, say, road racing and you're expecting the front end to take some hits, the bar and plate's obviously very strong. But as far as efficiency goes, apparently tube and fin is the way to go. So we are excited to see you work your mastery on this. So what do you say, PT, and I get out of here and let you do your thing? Made some progress here, my friend. As you can see, the front mount intercooler is in its home, and she looks good. You've welded on some little mounting tabs on the top here, and of course you welded on those end tanks. And it's worth noting that you've converted this end to a 3-inch elbow, and we're staying 2.5 inch on this side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So why are we going 3-inch on this side?
Well, to match up with our throttle body here, and also with the elbow here, we'll get better clearance just to get the routing back up to the throttle body.
Okay, and to do that 3-inch conversion and to mount this throttle body, which by the way is from an FA20, it's from our spare FRS engine, we got this adapter from Excessive Manufacturing, which allows us, this is going to get welded onto the intake manifold if I'm not mistaken, and then this will bolt on there, and then we've got this 3-inch throttle body, which we're going to convert over to this HD clamp. This is a 2.5 inch one, but we'll be using a 3-inch one on the throttle body. And the beauty of this magical little device is it gives us all this freedom of movement in this attachment point. So it goes in and out, it rotates, and it has some angular movement too. The reason you want that is the engine rocks. This is hard mounted, so you want some ability to take any stress out of the system. Otherwise, you're going to be cracking intake part. Bad things will happen. So this prevents bad things from happening, and I think it looks pretty badass too. Now, to fabricate with this is a bit of a challenge, though, to weld these ferrules on in the correct position, if I'm not mistaken. Having never done this myself, I know you've had challenges with that.
So basically, when you do these, here, open one up. There's these O-rings here, and there's a sleeve here. And then as you can see, there's lots of movement within there. So the challenge is in fabricating this up. Sometimes you'd think that you would just mount these up together and then clamp and then weld your pipes in. But once you do that, you lost all that movement
if they're touching. So you need a gap in there, right?
Right.
And to do that in the past, you kind of made your own tool to do that.
Yeah, so you have to like figure out a way to get them gapped to the right length, because if they're gapped too much, there's no movement there if you don't gap them at all. So you got to find a real good sweet spot for that.
Right. And it turns out that Vibrant has made a new tool to address that issue. This is an early production version of that tool. Being that they're just up the road from us, we were able to steal this tool from them early and have Vin give it a try. And can you maybe explain to me how this works?
So this is really nice because this sets the gap exactly right in the center where it needs to be, so that you do have the full movement this way, full movement that way, full movement this way and that way. And these are designed really well because just like that, they're apart. You have these grooves here to hold the ferrules in place exactly where they need them.
Give you that nice gap there, yeah.
It's essentially a nice V-band. Then you just clamp it, tighten it here, and then you just get to welding.
Easy to use, repeatable, gives you a consistent setup time and time again. So, and these are going to be available not just in 3-inch, but in all the other sizes that they make the HD clamps in. And if by magic, we've got a charge pipe system in here and an FA20 throttle body in position. That's all welded up here, and that went relatively smoothly, I suppose.
It's pretty easy.
And the charge pipes were beautifully done. The 3-inch diameter tubing on here all looks great. You can see the articulation that we get here with these HD clamps, so it gives us that movement that we need. We've got our TurboSmart race port blow-off valve here in the correct location to showcase it fully. And we should mention that this is the best flowing blow-off valve in its class. It flows like 330 CFM, which is very impressive, and it's 50% lighter and 25% smaller than anything else on the market too. So it's the good stuff. This looks like it fits in here really well, Vin. Was it tricky to fit the 3-inch diameter tubing in this space? It looks pretty tight.
It had its troubles. I mean, we don't have a lot of clearance. The pipe can only go a certain place here without it getting into
the fender
here, the fender liner, or the frame rail here, or the headlight here. And then also using the Vibrant Tight Degree 90 was made everything a breeze. Being able to get this whole radius in closer. I can show you what the difference is. So this is a regular 90 degree. As you could see, like, well, it would be out here. There was no room for it with all the pulleys and all that, but using the tight degree, I was kind of able to cut this to be, I don't know, looks like an 80 degree, maybe 70 degree.
Right.
And then to get it to exactly where it needs to be, as opposed to being forced to be coming out here and
Yeah, it gives you much better room behind the headlight here. Yeah, that's really nice. Over here on the turbo, I could see you went with is that what, a 45-degree bend?
Just a very quick 45-degree bend. And you just cut it and bolt it on, and that's it. It's
You
very
have
simple.
like a bead roller?
Yeah, I got a vibrant bead roller here. We
Nice.
just roll a little bead. It's not really super important, especially on the intake side, since there's going to be no boost pressure on this side. But
Right.
it's kind of nice to have for fitment.
And obviously we'll put clamps on there. And for an air filter, Pete went with the most JDM choice of all, a Greddy filter. And you like that, Pete, because it's very compact and we didn't have a lot of room behind the headlight here.
Yeah. It fits there nicely. Like, it's a short little intake run, but I find it's still pretty good. So it looks goofy when the turbo just has an air filter on it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. I like this look too. And also gets it a little bit away from the heat of the manifold. And
Yeah.
everything, so, yeah. As you guys just saw, building a custom fan shroud is a little bit of work. It fits up beautifully on this on the Rad, which we'll show you in a second. And as you can see, we've equipped it with this Flexolite 16-inch low boy electric puller fan, which features their Flex Wave blades. And as you can see, there is literally a wave shape on each of the blades, which increases the efficiency a lot, like up to 33% over comparable fans on the market. And is also much quieter. So you get a quieter fan that's more efficient. You'll also recall that we initially were looking at fitting up a dual fan setup from Flexolite, and having done a quick test fit at our shop, we realized it wasn't gonna fit, it was too big. So this single 16-incher turned out to be, I think, a really good size on this Rad, didn't it, Ben?
Perfectly, yeah.
And as far as making this shroud goes, like, you did a beautiful job of fitting it all up with you bent it and, you know, included all these tabs, which, as you can see, work with the OE tab locations on the radiator, so it just bolts right on there. And obviously a shroud is going to make better use of the radiator. It's more efficient than, say, just zip tying it on. Like, a lot of times Rads come with zip tie kits like this where you can just zip tie to the Rad with no shrouding. And there's really a couple of negatives to that, aren't there?
Yeah, so with having a shroud, performance-wise, it's much better because you get contained air and you can kind of force it all out into one spot because you don't want any air leakage, but this kind of gets it to flow better. And then on the other flip side is you have a solid mount that's mounted to the Rad, because using these could be good in a pinch, but really not the best way to mount a fan. There's a lot of vibrations, and
Yeah.
with these it's kind of just going in between the fins. We've even seen sometimes where weathers, they melt due to heat and they'll break, and then the fans will tear apart the fins, or these will just kind of vibrate over time and rip through, and then you'll have a leak in your Rad. Now your Rad's no good because you just zip tied your fan to the Rad. But
Yeah, I
this
think
is
like
the
in
best way.
a low stress street environment,
Yeah.
this is probably fine, but on a race car or a big horsepower car like this, I think this is the right way to do it, isn't it? So she's ready to bolt in now, isn't she? All right, well, let's go throw it in the hole. Man, this thing is looking pretty amazing. In fact, it looks like it's ready to run and drive, doesn't it? It's pretty exciting to see
Close.
how much work Vin was able to get done in about a week and a half while we were off at SEMA and everything. This is super exciting. And if you look in here, there is really good clearance for the fan in here, lots of room. So when we get back to the shop, we're gonna do that whole timing belt job. But before we leave, we have this box of goodies right here to make a turbo oil feed line. So we could have made one up ourselves, but this Freed Engineering kit has everything that you need in it. It's very affordable, and we figured, again, we're kind of about time management right now, trying to make progress on this thing. So this kit will save us a bunch of time. It's got all the fittings you need in it for the turbo and the oil pan. It's It's obviously got these nice braided lines, which will let us do all the plumbing we need to do. Just like that, the oil feed line is in there, and I think that's a wrap on all the fabrication work here at Enviado. Vin did an incredible job on this. It really is a work of art. Someday, I might have to learn how to do some of this myself, but it's a pleasure watching Vin do it. He's really got a knack for this stuff, and it's really impressive to watch and learn from what he's doing. And it's nice of him to share some pro tips with us. And of course, if you're looking for a fabricator to do this kind of work for you, then come by Enviado here in the Hamilton area, and they will take good care of you, as they always do for us. Next up, you're gonna see this thing back at our shop where Pete and I will continue the build. I don't know, what are we gonna work on next, Pete? We've got
timing belt. We got to take everything apart. We got to send it off to powder coat. We got lots to do. We got a drive shaft to put in.
We've got a custom harness coming for it. There is a lot left to do, but it feels like we've gotten a lot closer.
The hard lifting is done.
A huge amount of progress. So thanks again, Enviado, and thank you guys for watching. And if you'd like to support us so that we can support Enviado, jump onto our shop. Get yourself a new hoodie. This is an all new design by the man behind the camera, knocking out these things. And of course, we've got hats and stickers and all kinds of other good stuff. And if you'd prefer to support us in other ways, of course, there's the membership button here on YouTube, and we have a Patreon deal. So jump over onto Patreon/Speed Academy and throw us a couple bucks there. We have some good promo payback type things there at different levels. So you can even come to a lapping day with us and money shift our Miata if you come in at the highest level on Patreon. So give that all some thought, and thank you very much for watching.